Good morning, gang. Happy Friday morning. Okay, here we go. Plot along and see what's going on. So it's the beginning of me and Mrs. P's big test. We are running the entire house on battery power. Okay, so lights, water pump, water heater, dishwasher, whole 9 yards. So we're testing to see how long we can run the household on battery power with no input. Okay, just the energy stored in solar generators. Okay, we're not hooking up any solar panels to bring power in. I want to see what the lifespan of the generator is to run our house on normal usage. Okay, and sure, in an SHTF event, you're not going to be using normal usage, but I figured, okay, just live life normally, and we'll see how it runs. Okay, so we started this at 6 o'clock last night, and we're going to see how long we can go. And it's kind of funny because I ran across an article this morning that linked to a Wall Street Journal article of about a week ago. And the journal article was kind of humorous. Not kind of, it was extremely humorous. And it's titled, I'll link it for you guys. It says, "Who counts as a disaster prepper these days? Lots of us." And this article had to be the stupidest bit of journalism I've ever read. Okay. And there's a point to why I'm going into this. Right. Here's a line in here. It says, roughly a third of the 2,179 U.S. adults surveyed by financial services company Finder in April said they spent an average of $149 on items including non-perishable food, medical supplies, and cases of water in the past year. Really? $149 worth of stuff. And you're going to consider, or at least the journal is going to consider them preppers? I got more than $149 worth of rice and beans. I'd bet 99.9% of you do too. Okay. 149 bucks is nothing. That's, gee, you know what, honey? I think we need to prep. What should we do? Let's go to the store today and buy canning jars. Well, you drop 10 cases of canning jars, 120 canning jars, poof, your 149 bucks is done. There's nothing in them, but you've got canning jars. Rice and beans, what's that going to get you? Maybe 50 pounds of each, 100 pounds of each tops. Okay, price everything's come up. And they're saying 1/3 of the people are preppers because they spent $149. That's insane. Okay. And they're going, oh, and that's up 20% from those who said they did in 2020. Okay. They interview one guy. He starts off, he goes, I'm a PlayStation 5, love my comfort guy. Okay. If video games are part of your preps, you're doing it wrong. I hate to tell you this. All right. There's one here. One woman said she spent $195 buying some prep. I guess the kit is called Preppy. It's a little orange kit that they buy. All right. And y'all have seen all of these, kits on Amazon or at Costco or whatever. It's like, oh, get this and you're all prepped or whatever. Right. Okay. Go watch like one of Bear's videos on his iFax or something like that. They'll charge you a ridiculous amount of money for a whole bunch of junk. Hey, for $200, you can get this first aid kit, and it's got some gauze and some bandages and maybe some Neosporin in it. You go, okay, there's $30 worth of stuff I can buy. I paid $200 for it. Here's a good one. This is a woman who, it's in the journal article again. Alexandria Edwards says keeping a tent, sleeping bag, and water filtration system in her New York City apartment can sometimes feel silly. But after viewing videos about emergency preparedness on social media, the 28-year-old marketing manager and arts nonprofit purchased a disaster pack on Amazon for about $100. Her quote, "It's actually for a family of 4, but I was like, you know what? Better to be safe." Right. Okay. Congratulations. A tent, a sleeping bag, and a water filtration system for $100. Okay. It's a life straw. Okay. That's about it. Continuing on with her. She's also been watching online tutorials on homeopathic healing and learning to grow her own windowsill vegetable garden. As a vegan, she worries about the availability of food she can eat in a disaster. How much food are you going to get out of a windowsill garden? Maybe a few microgreens. Okay. That's it. I mean, what? Maybe 2 tomato plants? Tops? It's hilarious listening to what this is going on. I mean, again, these aren't preppers. These are posers. And it's silly, the false sense of security that these people get. And why is this important? Okay. Report came out of the USDA yesterday talking about food. And this is where it gets important. Okay. In 2021, 33.8 million people in the United States were considered food insecure. In other words, they didn't know where their next meal is coming from. 10% of the country. Guess what that jumped up to in 2022? 44.2 million people. We added almost 11 million more people in this country that don't know where their next meal is coming from. We have 15% of the people in this country who don't know what they're going to have for breakfast this morning. Okay? Or if they don't eat breakfast, they don't know what they're going to have for lunch today. 15% of the country. But yet, the Wall Street Journal is saying, hey, look, this person's a prepper. She's got a tent and a sleeping bag and a life straw. Right. Okay. All the things that we do, all of us, okay. Food, water, power, security items, okay, whether they be weaponry, whether it be cameras, whatever it would be, any communication equipment you have, skills, okay, all those things, all these people can go out and buy all the stuff they want, okay. I bought this emergency pack, and it sits in the closet. Nothing in it is opened. I guarantee if you go look at half of these people who have emergency packs, if it's got a flashlight in them, it doesn't have batteries in it, okay? That's how prepared they are. But hey, I've got all this stuff. Yippee, you're a hoarder. You're not a prepper. All the stuff we buy, we know how to use. And it's just funny listening to people. And we all want to help them. I hope that this woman here in New York actually gets on and watches one of my videos, or Magic's, or Travis's, or Danny and Wanda's, and learns what self-sufficiency, learns what preparedness actually is. Preparedness isn't buying a bunch of junk and throwing it in a closet. Preparedness is buying useful items, knowing how to use them, and everything has a purpose. Okay? Blankets, clothing, extra socks. I mean, I spent $149 and I go, congratulations, that's a week's worth of groceries. Before Biden, it was 2 weeks worth of groceries, but this is why people say they're prepping, because, oh, gee, you know what? Things are getting more expensive. Yeah. How long is it that everybody's been telling you that? And now you're finally waking up and going, gee, Martha, food's more expensive. What do we do when it goes up again? Because you have economists saying we can expect another 30% hike in food prices over the next 12 months. Okay. We've all tried to help as many people as we can. I know you guys have told me countless stories about trying to talk to family, trying to talk to friends, and they all think you're crazy. And every once in a while, I get an email from one of y'all saying, "Gee, you know what? My son is finally on board, or my husband finally decided, hey, you know what? Maybe what I'm doing is not tin foil hat wearing." Okay, we've all learned new things, learned new skills. It's good. Does any of us know all of them? No, never going to happen. Okay, but are the skills you have useful? All right. I mean, there's the thing. Sure, you know, you own stuff. Do you know how to use it? Is it in good working order? Okay. Have you, and I'm just as guilty as everybody else. Have I finished my ham radio course? No. Okay. Do I need to get on that? Yes. Okay. It's a never ending process. You know, I've said many times prepping is a journey, not a destination. And you learn something. And once you've learned that, then you go learn the next thing. And of course, we all know there's multiple things that you are trying to figure out how to do. And then life gets in the way. Well, you know, gee, I do have to go to work, or I do have to go spend time with the grandkids. Anything, you know, you can't do this 24/7. It's not possible. Okay, you will drive yourself nuts if you do. But when you hear that 15% of the country doesn't know where their next meal's coming from, and when you hear the Wall Street Journal come out and say, "Oh, prepping has become trendy." I don't wear skinny jeans. I don't care about trends. I care about staying warm, staying dry, staying hydrated, feeding myself, staying alive. Not the Bee Gees song. That's prepping. Learning how to do all those things. Prepping isn't sitting in front of a camera talking. Prepping isn't watching a bunch of videos. Prepping is actually doing. Prepping is getting those different things, putting them in place, and figuring out what works and what doesn't. I'll give you a perfect example of learning stuff. Okay, like I said, we're doing the electricity test this weekend, and one of the things I have powered is my overhead lights. Obviously, you can see me. Okay, and so we were looking, and in the family room, okay, there's 5 can lights up there. I've replaced bulbs in 4 years we've been here. I've probably replaced all of those, and I've put LED bulbs in there. We go, okay, look at this. 5 bulbs, lights the whole room, 24 watts of power it's pulling. Great. And Mrs. P was up in the bathroom last night. There's 3 lights in there. It's pulling 180 watts. 60 watt incandescent bulbs, not 5 watt LED bulbs. You go, okay, if we are going to conserve on power, because again, it's not unlimited. You know, if we're off grid, I'm only going to get as much power as I get that I can bring in from solar. I need to reduce that. So I've got LED bulbs, and what I'll wind up doing is swapping the incandescent bulbs out for LED bulbs. But the incandescents still work, right? They become my backups, and I'll get the LED bulbs. LED bulbs will last, 10, 15 years? Great. I can put a box of light bulbs up. You should have extra light bulbs, right? Those are the things you learn. You learn by doing and testing what's going on. You learn by working, using what you have. How'd you learn to can? Well, I canned a bunch of food and I put it on the shelf. You ever opened one of them? Yeah. Is the food still good 2 years later? Yeah. Good. Then you learn something. You can a bunch of stuff. The cans don't seal. You open up a jar and everything's moldy. Did something wrong. Wasted the food. Okay. But you got something. You learned something out of it. That's the thing. The world is going to shit. Okay. I mean, whether it's the war in Israel, the war in Ukraine, the soon-to-be war in Taiwan, whether it's the invasion on the southern border, whether it's the advent of crime, whether it's Joe destroying an economy, whatever you have. And how are you prepared for each one of those things? We talk about different topics all the time. Let's talk about food. Let's talk about your money. Let's talk about the war that's going on, right? And each one of those things you prep for. Keep learning. Keep your ears open. Keep your mind open. Pick up a new skill or two. Learn something about the preps that you have, because I'm going to continue to do it myself too. Like I said, my two big ones are the ham radio and my bow, okay, that I've got to get my ass in gear and do. But we're way ahead of the curve, guys. When people are out there thinking that they're doing this because they dropped $150 in a year on extra food, okay, that ain't prepping, okay? That's a false sense of security. But you know what's going to happen in a week when that $150 worth of food is gone? There is a day 8. And then they want to come to you. And you think about it and you go, I've prepped a year's worth, 2 years worth, 3 years worth of food for my family. And you go, what if the neighbors come over? If there's 2 of you and the neighbors are 2 more people, your year of food just wound up 18 months. Like that, okay? If you start feeding them. We're much better off taking these people that are spending the $150 and at least have the inkling in their mind of, hey, I need to do something. We're much better off showing them what to do and helping them than ignoring them. Because, well, $150 ain't nothing. At least they came to a realization that liberalism is destroying the world. And somehow they've got to survive. They may not change their political views, but then again, there aren't many preppers that are liberal, okay, because they believe the government will take care of everything. It's your traditional conservatives who are self-sufficient that are the ones that are more geared toward doing something for themselves and not relying on other people to do it. So the next time you see somebody at the grocery store who picks up 10 pounds of rice, strike up a conversation with them. The next time you're in a gun store, strike up a conversation with them. You know, wherever you are, if somebody's looking at something that you know is a prep item, talk to them. Who knows? Pinball out.